I love video games. You probably could have inferred that from the everything about me, but it truly is one of my favorite mediums to experience art. And something that I love about video games is that it's pretty much the only medium that allows you to experience art passively and interactively. With books, movies, TV shows, and pretty much any other medium, you only experience it passively. You just watch what happens. But with video games, you can actually interfere with the story, whether it's a dialogue option in a visual novel or following a very specific set of instructions to change the story entirely. There's many different ways that games can balance this dynamic. There are games that have no story and are just sort of meant to be fun and let you turn your brain off. There are games that are satisfying for how much skill and time it takes to master them, and there are games that are extremely focused on telling an interesting and engaging story. And in my opinion, the best games are the ones that are able to do all three of those at once. Basically, I love video games, which is why I'm so fascinated by the concept of taking video games and adapting it into a medium where you completely cut out the interactive element of it. Because when you do that, you almost have to change the story to make it good. A movie cannot directly adapt the story of any video game word for word, because usually so much of the experience of the game is playing it, and you can't play a movie. So if you want to adapt, say, Doom into a live-action movie starring Dwayne Johnson, you have to make changes to the story, which brings me to my main point. Most video game adaptations fucking blow, and I think it has something to do with the core idea of taking something you can interact with and watch and making it into something that you just watch. Now, I'm not saying that video games are some sort of superior medium. What I am saying is, let's say, for example, you want to adapt Celeste into a movie. For that game, like 70% of the enjoyment comes from the gameplay and 30% comes from the story. So when you adapt it into a movie, you need to take that 70% of enjoyment that comes from the gameplay and turn that into story. You need more scenes, you need cinematography, you need something to make up for the fact that you're not interacting with it. And honestly, I don't think studio executives are interested in doing that. I think they just want to take a popular IP and milk some money out of said IP, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I wanted to look at multiple different types of video game adaptations, so I watched 6 video game movies, and I don't know, I'm gonna talk about them now.
And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die.
Super Mario Bros. Is the very first video game that was adapted to film, and you probably know it for how polarizing and weird it is. This movie starts out with this backstory about the dinosaurs, about how long ago they ruled the Earth, but then a meteorite struck and created a parallel dimension where dinosaurs evolved to be intelligent humans and shit like that. Then we cut to the Mario Bros. Living in Brooklyn being all Italian, and to be honest, I like the characterization of Mario in this movie. Mario is just some hard-working Brooklyn guy played by Bob Hoskins, and I feel like it adds a nice level of depth to his character. Luigi is low-key a bum, which I just don't see that, but it's still fine. Anyways, Mario and Luigi are plumbers because that's their character, and they're having trouble getting work because a big evil business boy, Anthony Scapelli, is taking all the jobs. Then we meet Daisy, who's an archaeologist, and the big mean business boy, Anthony Scapelli, is mad because his workers have to stop doing work to let the archaeology students do archaeology. So Daisy goes to a payphone, meets Luigi, who is immediately smitten by her. They go on a double date with Mario and some other girl who isn't even Pauline, and then Luigi and Daisy go to the archaeology site, and then Daisy is kidnapped by these 2 weird guys, so Mario and Luigi have to follow them through a portal into Dino Hatton. Anyways, Mario and Luigi get this piece of meteorite that was on Daisy's neck stolen by this lady, and then they meet this hippie drifter named Toad before all 3 of them are shoved into police cars and taken to the King Koopa. Then we see Toad get de-evolved into a Goomba. Creatures that look like this and are basically mindless lizard drones that do not bear the slightest resemblance to an actual Goomba. Mario and Luigi are able to escape, and then we get this sick-ass scene of Bowser sitting in the mud, talking about how much he loves the mud.
It's clean and it's dirty at the same time.
This is my favorite scene. Mario and Luigi go into the endless desert and are tracked down by the 2 guys who kidnapped Daisy in the first place, Spike and Iggy, who have been evolved in the evolution machine to make them not so dumb. But it seems doing that has made them smart enough to turn against Bowser, so now they want to overthrow him. Meanwhile, in the castle, Daisy meets Yoshi, who looks just upsetting. I don't like this. Also, Bowser tries to, force himself on Daisy. It's not great.
They say they never forget the first time they kissed by a lizard.
No! Stop. Anyways, they go to this club to get the meteorite piece, they go to the tower to get Daisy and Daniela, and it's here that we discover that the fungus we've seen around the city is just the de-evolved old king, and just like every other effect in the movie, it's very upsetting to look at. Anyways, Mario has a big fight with Bowser, Luigi and Daisy go to confront this Bowser sidekick villain lady whose name I forget. While they're fighting, Dino Hatton merges with Earth and Bowser shoots the big mean Anthony Scapelli with a de-evolution gun, turning him into a monkey. Dino Hatton unmerges from Earth and Mario shoots Bowser with a de-evolution gun and also blows him up with this bomb that was not properly Greeked. And eventually they de-evolve him into this primal goop and Dino Hatton is saved. And then the movie ends with a cliffhanger teasing a sequel. Wow. I think the crux of what makes this movie a fucking weird experience is how much it just refuses to work off the source material. The sheer amount of changes to every aspect of the story, like making Bowser a dictator human looking guy, or making Daisy a half dinosaur, or anything about Dino Hatton, or once again having the Goombas look like that. And it's not even wrong for them to try to change stuff, because with Mario specifically, you need to add depth to make a coherent story. Especially back in 1993, Mario was barely even a character, so like, you need to take some swings. And honestly, there was some stuff I liked. Well, okay, there was one thing I liked, and it's Mario's characterization. A plumber from Brooklyn acting like, well, a plumber from Brooklyn is just very fun. But overall, this movie felt like it had more fan service to the city of New York and the trade of plumbing than the Mario games they were adapting. Like legitimately, in the climax of the movie, Luigi uses his plumbing tools to take out the meteorite fragment to unmerge Dino Hatton and Earth, which is just so funny, like nobody watching this watched it for the fucking plumbing. Anyways, the movie was very 90s in both the good way and the bad way. The CGI looked very bad because it was the 90s. There were too many weird moments. I didn't hate maybe 4 of the characters, the script was everywhere, and the plot was incomprehensible. 4 out of 10.
Bowser's castle should be just up ahead.
I thought I smelled something burning.
Focus M. Bowser's got the power stars and you know what that means.
I don't think there's any mystery to why Nintendo wanted to make a new Mario movie in 2023, with the 90s Mario movie not only being a weird mess, but also barely even a Mario movie. Now, something fun about the Super Mario Bros. Movie is that I actually saw it the week it released, and I remember thinking it was pretty okay, that it wasn't too bad, and maybe even good. But when I rewatched it for this video, safe to say, my opinion has changed. So, the plot. The movie starts out with a scene of Jack Black Bowser absolutely destroying this ice castle, and it's pretty cool. Then we hard cut to the Mario Brothers in Brooklyn with this plumbing ad, and we get to hear the very non-New York voice of Mario and the kinda New York voice of Luigi. In this scene, we get introduced to this big bad mean plumber guy, and this sort of sets up a plot point of Mario feeling outcast. Luigi has an epic GameCube reference, and they go to this house to do plumbing, and there's a dog, and it's forgettable. Mario says Mamma Mia, and it sounds unnatural because he's not Italian, and we go to this amazing scene where we get to see the Mario family and see that every other Mario family member has a New York accent except Mario. I want Chris Pratt fucking dead! Also, Mario is so short. He has to be like under 4 feet tall. What is this? So Mario is playing an epic retro game as a reference, and him and Luigi go underneath Brooklyn to save Brooklyn by doing emergency plumbing, which is confusing because I'd think the biggest city in America would have like city contracted plumbers or something, but it doesn't matter. They smash through a brick wall, which certainly should have killed them, and they find this warp pipe to the Mushroom Kingdom. Speeding it up here, Mario and Luigi get separated. Mario travels to the Mushroom Kingdom with Toad and meets the epic badass Peach, who agrees to help Mario save Luigi from Bowser if he does some training. Jack Black sings a pretty good song about being obsessed with Peach. Mario and Peach go to the Kong City to visit the Khans and are able to convince the Khans to ally against Bowser. They try to muster forces by taking the Rainbow Road, but they get ambushed by Bowser. Bowser forces Peach to have a wedding with him, and Mario and Donkey Kong are stuck in the eel from Dire Dire Docks. Mario and Donk make it to the wedding and cause some destruction, but Bowser makes it to Brooklyn and is about to wreak havoc and kill Mario, but then Mario and Luigi get the Superstar and force feed Bowser a mini mushroom. And the movie ends by showing Mario living in the Mushroom Kingdom. I do not think I am being overdramatic when I say that this movie is one of the most empty, trite, boring things I've seen in my entire life. The amount of moments from this movie I'd say I enjoyed, I legitimately could count them on my fingers. Let's start with addressing the obvious. the voice acting. I legitimately think there are only two people who are giving good performances in this movie. Jack Black as Bowser and Charlie Day as Luigi. They were entertaining most of the time they were on screen, although Luigi being on screen in this film is a rarity, but that's a later discussion. Peach, Toad, and Donkey Kong were all decent, and I don't think it needs to be said that Chris Pratt shit the bed so massively as Mario. The idea that his entire family has a New York accent and then Mario is just Chris Pratt, not to mention the fucking delivery on some of these.
Let's go.
Mario lacks any sort of personality. He's one of the most generic, quippy hero characters I've ever seen in a movie. Like, say what you will about the 1993 movie, at least that movie gave him personality. What personality did this movie give him? Oh yeah, they tried to make me feel sad for him by having his dad say, "I think you're nuts." And honestly, this entire storyline made me laugh harder than any actual joke in the movie. It tries to give Mario depth, but the whole plot point of Mario feeling outcast is 3 scenes. This scene, the scene where him and Donkey Kong are in the eel, and the scene at the end where Mario's dad is like, "That's my boy." In other words, it's not a plot thread, it's a fucking footnote in this movie. And for the Mario Bros movie, Luigi is also just a footnote. He doesn't do anything until the very end where they defeat Bowser, which is such an uneventful and emotionless scene because it's so unearned. To have no storyline leading up to it and then Mario and Luigi are just given this item of ultimate power and now they're able to defeat Bowser, why did Nintendo expect me to feel anything during this scene? But that's legitimately the only thing Luigi does in this movie. Throughout the actual plot, he's just in jail. Here are the positives I can muster up for this movie. It can sometimes be charming before going back to being boring or bad. The music is pretty good, but only when it's imitating the Mario soundtrack, otherwise it's just generic. Even though Peaches was extremely overplayed when the movie first came out, it's a pretty fun song. And visually, it looks pretty good when Illumination doesn't have to make Illumination humans. This movie is bad, a 4.5 out of 10. But hey, I'll save some of my criticisms because maybe the second one is good.
Luigi, I just want to touch you all over your manly chest. Want to bury my face in your breast.
When I heard the Mario Galaxy movie was coming out, I was weirdly hopeful. I mean, yeah, they did the cast random celebrities as voice actors thing again, but my thoughts were, since Mario Galaxy is an amazing game with lots of atmosphere and a pretty good story, it would be pretty hard to fuck this up. And then when the critic reviews came out, my hopes were pretty much disintegrated. In the spirit of full disclosure, I need to say that I did not watch this movie in theaters. In fact, I watched several spoiler-heavy reviews before watching this movie. But even those weren't enough to prepare me for how much I would hate this movie. The movie starts out with Rosalina's longest and also best scene, where she fights Megaleg but is eventually defeated. Not without putting up a fight though. Meanwhile, Mario and Luigi go to this pyramid place to find Yoshi, and that's not part of the plot. Yoshi is just here now. Meanwhile, Aluma makes his way to Princess Peach to ask her to help save Rosalina, so her and Toad go off to save Rosalina. Oh, also, this movie starts out with a plotline of Mario liking Princess Peach, and it lacks any sort of chemistry, like you'd expect. Anyways, while Mario and Luigi are taking care of the Mushroom Kingdom, Bowser Jr. shows up in a big UFO to take back his mini mushroom dad. And Mario and Luigi are able to defeat Bowser Jr., but then the castle gets dropped from space, which everyone survives, and now they're stranded on this B planet. Also, Bowser is brought back to his original size, but he's nice now, I guess. Peach goes to this casino in this space galaxy and meets this frog guy that everyone on Twitter says is really hot, but I definitely don't agree with them. Those people are crazy. So then she fights the crime bosses and there are a bunch of ninjas. Why do a bunch of ninjas come out from nowhere? Because they're a character from Mario. That's legitimately the only reason I can think of.
I know what that is!
So Peach beats the guys and gets the info, and Mario and Luigi go to where Peach is at and leaves Bowser on the B planet. Bowser Jr. picks up his dad and reminds him that they want to be evil on a big evil planet made just for them, with a big evil space gun that can blow up anything and everything and is powered by Rosalina. This movie is fucking stupid. Peach needs to get a ship, so she talks to Rob because he's from Nintendo. We see Pikmin because they're from Nintendo, and they meet Star Fox because he's in this movie. Mario catches up with Peach and they go to the observatory to employ the help of the Lumas. Okay, then they go to the big evil Bowser planet, and Bowser has gone back to being evil, but Mario cuts the bridge and makes him into bones. Peach is trying to help Rosalina escape while Mario fights Prowler, Bowser Jr., and Dry Bowser, but then Yoshi and Luigi show up to help Mario. They have a big fight, Luigi paints Mr. Game & Watch because it's an awesome Nintendo reference, Bowser Jr. gets eaten by his own creation like another royal scientist I know, and Mario saves him. Meanwhile, Peach saves Rosalina, and they discover that they're siblings. Oh, we'll get to it. The whole gang goes back to the Mushroom World and rebuilds Peach's castle, and Bowser and Jr. get locked up, and also Daisy is gonna be in the next Mario movie that makes $1 billion. The end. Wow. Needless to say, I hated this movie. Any criticism I may have had about the first Mario movie only having value by being something Mario fans can point at and say, there's Mario, there's Princess Peach. That criticism is doubled in this movie. The movie's literal only goal is to shove as many Mario characters and also I guess Nintendo characters in this movie. Why are Mr. Game & Watch and the fucking Pikmin in this movie? Well, I'll tell you! It's so fans can point for grubby little fingers and say, whoa, those characters are the characters that I know! That's so epic! But the weirdest thing is that despite being pretty much only a fan service movie, they seem to have trouble fan servicing the game they're adapting. Mario Galaxy is a great game with some incredibly atmospheric planets, but they don't want to use those, I guess. So the adaptation of Galaxy we get is Rosalina being on screen for like 4 minutes, and the Lumas contribute to the plot. Like other people have said, this is not a Mario Galaxy movie, this is the Mario movie 2. So fucking call it the Mario Movie 2! The plot, despite having the illusion of existing, is just nothing. The entire thing is paper thin and incredibly boring to watch. And there have been arguments that the story of Mario isn't that interesting anyway, so I don't know why people are mad that the Mario movie barely has a plot, which is dumb because I can play a game, I can't play a movie. You need to add some plot when you're adapting a video game, or else you're left with nothing. But also, this argument doesn't work for fucking Mario Galaxy, which actually does have a story. One of the only Mario games to have a plot, a decent one at that, but the movie doesn't want to try. It doesn't want to use the super cool galaxies, it just wants to use some enemies, some power-ups, pretend Rosalina is part of the plot, and apparently that's all it needs for it to be the Mario Galaxy movie. When it comes to Rosalina and Peach being sisters, being of the internet, I do sympathize with the people who shipped Rosalina and Peach. Discovering that your ship was retroactively made incest, I do feel for you guys, that's rough. The weird amount of celebrity voice actors made even less sense this time because there are pretty much only 4 new characters that have more than 30 seconds of screen time. Bowser Jr., Star Fox, Rosalina, and Yoshi. With Rosalina, I feel like it's a similar situation to Princess Peach where like the voice acting is fine, but they did not need to get Brie Larson for this role. I know Brie Larson is a big fan of the Mario games, and the chuds on Twitter were getting really mad about her continuing to have a career, but truly, she did not need to get cast for this role. But when it comes to the other 3, I do kinda like the voices. Bowser Jr. just sounds right to me. Even though it clearly sounds like an adult trying to be a kid, I think it works. Star Fox sounds good, and he actually has a personality. Cocky Han Solo space pilot is more personality than 90% of the other characters in this movie, so I'll take it. And Donald Glover did good with Yoshi, even if the assignment was just to make a few Yoshi sounds. But every other celeb VA that was shown at Nintendo Direct, they truly were around for maybe 30 seconds. They were like, guys, Issa Rae is the voice actor for Honey Queen, and she was around for truly 1 scene. Any remnants of charm and humor from the first movie is completely gone now. I chuckled maybe 3 times. The Yoshi New York montage, Star Fox with the Lumas, and in the end where Luigi says the castle died. Everything else sucked. They managed to make Luigi and Bowser, like, not funny in this movie. There's so many weird logical inconsistencies too. Like, nobody questions galaxies or space travel for even 1 second. Mario's family is not present in this movie, making that plotline even more pointless. Mario survived so many things that he should just not be able to survive, and it's just never questioned, because this movie wasn't made to be questioned. It was made for you to turn your brain off and shove some sort of snack into your face while you watch the Mario characters be on screen in a movie theater. I could go on, but I still have 3 more movies to talk about, so I'm gonna cut myself off. 3 out of 10.
Video games are calling, and I must go.
I figured that if I was going to make a video on video game movies, there are plenty of movie adaptations of video games that I am not familiar with. So I decided, just to be fair, I wanted to see what it's like to watch a video game adaptation when I am not a fan of a franchise, when I know next to nothing about it. So the 2 movies I decided on watching were Mortal Kombat and Uncharted. Starting off with Mortal Kombat, I'll try to keep the plot brief, but basically, the movie starts out with a flashback of Sub-Zero killing Scorpion because he wants to end his bloodline, but he doesn't know about the baby that was hidden in the floorboards. We then flash forward and meet this boxing guy, Cole Young. After he gets attacked by Sub-Zero, this other guy, Jax, tells him that the symbol means that he's chosen to fight in this tournament between Earthrealm and Outrealm. Jax is then attacked by Sub-Zero, and Cole flees to this girl Sonya's hideout while Jax gets his shit fucked up. Sonya is holding another guy captive who also has the dragon tattoo, this piece of shit Kano, and together they go to Raiden's temple. Once in the temple, they are told that they need to train to find their Arcana, and Kano is able to do so immediately and gets laser eyes. But Cole doesn't get anything, and Sonya doesn't have a tattoo, so she's not able to train with them. Jax is also given dinky robot arms. Cole is sent home as Shang Tsung attacks the temple and is successfully able to get Kano to defect to the other side. They have a fight, Jax upgrades his robot arms, and Cole is able to unlock his Arcana by fighting this creature that was sent to his home to kill him, and the crew goes to kill everyone from Outworld, and they are able to do so successfully, including Sonya, who kills Kano, so now she has an Arcana of her own. They go to fight Sub-Zero, and Scorpion comes back from hell to finish the job, and Shang Tsung says this isn't over, but he is defeated for now. The end. Here's what I have to say about the story. It's pretty okay. There was nothing I was really blown away by, but one thing I liked a lot was when Kano went evil, because I was worried they were going to have some sort of redemption arc where now we have to like Kano because he becomes nice. So when he became evil, I liked that. But everything else was just done pretty okay. I know that Cole Young is a completely new character to Mortal Kombat, but I have no beef with that because I don't care and his character is pretty fine. The fight scenes were done decently, the story was pretty good, the actors did their jobs, and overall it was just pretty okay all around. Nothing astounded me about this movie at all. The most I cringed was when they did the thing with the announcer going like fatality and stuff, because like, come on man. But honestly it was just pretty okay. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but yeah. 6.2 out of 10. Now, Uncharted, I have less grace for. Oh, don't show Sackboy in the intro. That's disgraceful. You left him to fucking die. So we meet our main character, Nathan Drake. And you might object to Tom Holland not looking anything like Nathan Drake, and to that, I'd have to respond, yeah. Anyways, Nathan Drake always wanted to be a treasure hunter, but then his brother Sam walked out on him when he was a kid, so now he's just a pickpocket. But one day his skill gets noticed by this man, Victor Sullivan. And don't even say anything about Mark Wahlberg, because we're all thinking it. Anyways, Victor wants to recruit Nathan because he knew Nathan's brother Sam, and he wants Nathan to work with him to help him find this gold and shit. Step 1 to getting the gold is getting this key from an auction, where we find out that there's this billionaire who believes that he's entitled to the gold and is also trying to get the key. After some shenanigans and meeting this lady who's evil, they are able to get the key. So they go to Barcelona and meet this girl Chloe, who does not like Mark Wahlberg because apparently he's untrustworthy, and probably also because of those minorities he beat up, but mostly because he's untrustworthy. So they go through these puzzles that Nathan knows all the answers to because he's like a super genius, and they find out that there's another map that leads to the Philippines, at which point Chloe steals the map from Nathan at gunpoint and runs away. Victor finds Nate and he reveals that his brother Sam was killed by the mean lady, and Victor left Sam for dead. So now Nathan hates Victor, but they're gonna get the gold anyway. Also, it turns out that Chloe was working for the mean billionaire. Mean Guy loads everything onto the cargo ship, Mean Girl kills Mean Guy and is about to kill Chloe, but she runs away. Also, Nate and Victor hit on the plane as well. A big fight scene happens that ends with Nathan and Chloe in the middle of the ocean on this cargo box. They make it to shore and Nathan makes another breakthrough, and Chloe tries to leave in the middle of the night by stealing the coordinates, but it turns out that Nathan planted those coordinates as dummy coordinates and Chloe is going to nowhere. So Nathan goes to the place and finds the gold, but then Victor is there because he was tracking Nate's phone. Mean Girl comes in and starts to airlift the ships out, and there's a big showdown that ends with Mean Girl dying, the ships being destroyed, and most of the gold being lost, and at the end of the movie we learn that Sam is actually alive. And then there's a mid-credits scene that very pathetically tries to force a sequel. So if you couldn't tell by my voice, this movie is pretty bad. Obviously, the most egregious issue is, I don't know that much about Uncharted, but I do know that Nathan Drake doesn't look like fucking Tom Holland. Seriously, the choice to cast Tom Holland instead of, I don't know, anyone else as Nathan Drake is so stupid. But even that's not as dumb as casting Mark Wahlberg as Victor Sullivan, because like, what? The idea that Mark Wahlberg is supposed to be like a father figure to Tom Holland is one of the stupidest things ever. The casting also makes the dynamic between Nathan and Victor change. In the game, it's a young buck partnering with an older, more experienced treasure hunter. But in the movies, it's a 45-year-old partnering with a babyface 25-year-old. And even without the changes, the story just isn't that interesting. I'm sure the story of the treasure and stuff is as convoluted as it is in the games, but like, these characters aren't interesting. Frankly, I don't care about a 45-year-old who hates himself. I don't care about this girl who is so unimportant they wrote her out of the climax. I just don't care. None of these performances were anything groundbreaking, although there wasn't anything especially bad. I feel like this movie is so different from Uncharted that they could have taken the same plot, switched around the names, and it would be a movie about a 45-year-old and 25-year-old finding some gold instead of being the Uncharted movie. But the problem is that if they made this movie not an adaptation of Uncharted, nobody would fucking watch it. I'll give it this. It did have some decent cinematography and production value, but that is not enough to carry a movie. 4.8 out of 10.
No. No, I already talked about this one. No. No, 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 no!
Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the greatest and most attractive characters ever thought up.
Sonic is an interesting one for me specifically, because I've never played a Sonic game for longer than like 30 minutes, but I feel like I've absorbed a lot of information about the games by being a fan of Salty DK, Dan, and Snapcube. I know a decent amount of plot from some of the 3D Sonic games, I know the words Dark Gaia and Chaos Control, I am aware of Jet the Hawk, so I think this unique middle ground of knowing a good amount about Sonic the Hedgehog but not really being a fan of it is an interesting perspective to talk about Sonic the movie. So the Sonic movie starts out with Sonic in a precarious situation, and then Sonic goes, yeah, that's me. Then we learn about the Sonic lore, about how Sonic used to be from Sonic World, but then these echidnas wanted him dead, so then this owl gives him rings that allow him to travel to the real world. So Sonic is now living in the real world in this cave, and he's definitely not lonely. Then we meet Tom the Cop, and his whole shebang is not interesting or important at all. But at one point Sonic fucks with him, which is a good thing, because it is morally correct to fuck with cops. Sonic continues to get depressed about his crippling loneliness to the point that he runs around a baseball diamond so fast that he causes the power to go out in the entire Pacific Northwest. So the government brings in a ringer to find Sonic, Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Sonic now realizes that he's gonna get skunked, so he has to pack his stuff up from the cave and leave with his rings. And he goes to Tom's shed so he can safely travel. But just as he's about to travel through the rings into some kind of kingdom of mushrooms, Tom shows up and shoots him with a tranquilizer that causes him to accidentally drop his rings in San Francisco. Tom puts Sonic in a cage, which causes Eggman to show up, and Tom plus Sonic fight off Eggman and his drones. They become fugitives together, and Tom decides to help Sonic go to San Francisco because Sonic has no clue where he's going. So as Sonic and Tom are going to San Francisco, Sonic reveals that he has a lot of things that he wants to do on Earth so that he can experience life. So Tom helps Sonic do those things. So then they make it to San Francisco with only a few dents in the car, and Sonic, Tom, and Maddie are able to get to the bag of rings. But then Eggman catches up with them and has a fight with Sonic that ends with Sonic banishing Eggman into a different realm and the world being saved. Now Sonic is a happy family with Tom and Maddie. I hate to say it, but when it comes to how I feel about this movie,
I like it! Hell, I love it!
I need to get this out of the way. Obviously the movie would have worked better, you know, as a cartoon. They've already made him into a cartoon a few times already, so bringing him into the real world as some sort of CGI gremlin is just not the done thing. Maybe they could have gotten Martha Animation to take the movie quality animation that they make for the games and, I don't know, make it into a movie. What a concept.
What a concept.
I know it would be better, you know it would be better, it's just a fact that needs to be said. This movie isn't great, but it had a lot of charm and pretty funny jokes. Jim Carrey isn't doing a particularly good Dr. Eggman, but honestly, he's the funniest part of this movie. I doubt that they gave him any direction and just told him to do the Jim Carrey thing. And you know what? It's still pretty damn good.
Ah, my babies. Look what came out of my egg sack.
I also like Ben Schwartz as Sonic, even if he sounds too much like a weird little alien sometimes.
I think the main thing holding this movie back is that it has the plot structure of plain white guy meets quirky creature and helps out said creature, like Hop, or Alvin and the Chipmunks, or the one I don't want to say the name of. This plot device is just not good. In fact, it fucking sucks. Easily the worst thing about this movie is that it shares the same structure as fucking Hop, which James Marsden is also in. The most interesting thing is that it doesn't really feel like a Sonic movie. From what I've seen at least, Sonic has this cool 2000s edginess to it, and this movie just feels like a normal generic kids movie. It's very Sonic, of course, but it doesn't feel like a story that Sonic Team would make. But you know, I like it. I think it's a pretty fun time, and I'll probably like the sequels more if I watch them. I haven't as of filming, so I'm gonna put some text here. I don't know what it says, I haven't written it yet. 6.5 out of 10.
So in conclusion, I watched a bunch of movies and they sure did vary in quality. No, but seriously. Video game movies are weird because I feel like they're the only movies that will be objectively bad, but people will still defend them. Like, you know, when the critic reviews for Mario or FNAF comes out, there's gonna be people on Twitter saying that the critic's opinion doesn't matter anyways, and post the critic score on cuties because they don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works and they have an insane amount of confirmation bias. So of course when the movie releases, they go on review websites and rate it positively, so they can point at it and go, look, the movie is good, objectively. And I wonder why people thought like that. Why they were so compelled to defend these. What do people see in these movies? But then I was watching a video of Bizabel talking about FNAF 2, and she said something very, very interesting.
I was still able to, like, soy point at the screen and go, oh my god, Springtrap, oh my god.
And I realized that's exactly it. These fans don't really care that the movie is good, although I'm sure that they wouldn't mind if it's good, but that's not their main goal. The main goal is the ability to see a thing that they're a fan of on a theater screen and point at it. The mere concept of seeing Chica or Spike on the big screen outweighs the need for a movie to be good. I'm not even immune to this concept. Seeing Circus Baby on the silver screen had me going crazy the first time I saw FNAF 2, but it doesn't make a movie good. But a lot of fans are too proud to admit that that's their prerogative, so they have to go out of their way to defend these movies. They take it as a personal slight whenever the critics who don't know anything about these games give the movie a low score because the plot is nothing but fan service, so they have to write a good review of the movie to prove that it's good. And I know that this criticism is pretty pointedly about the Mario, FNAF, and Minecraft movies, but also Mario and Minecraft made $1 billion, and FNAF also made a pretty good amount of money as well. So even if most video game movies aren't like this now, they're probably gonna be. When the Zelda movie comes out, is Link gonna be some lame-ass nothing character? I don't want that. Let me be clear. You can like the Mario movies or the FNAF movies all you want, but I feel like some of you are exaggerating how much you like them to prove a point.
Now when it comes to the other types of video game movies, I actually think we're doing something right. I know it's kind of a trend nowadays to say that the Mario movie from the 90s is underrated, but legitimately, I appreciate the ambition it had. Compared to the pandering movies of the modern day, it wanted to shake up the story of Mario. Maybe it did that a little bit too much and the ideas that they did have were low-key shit, but at least they tried. But I will say, there is one aspect where the new Mario movies are absolutely better than the old Mario movie. And that aspect is being a representation of Mario. These two Mario movies, even though they're not the best, they're a great tribute to the franchise of Mario. Meanwhile, the first Mario movie is just a generic 90s movie with Mario slapped on it. Uncharted was pretty bad, but it wasn't as bad as these. At least it understood the tone that its franchise had. And Mortal Kombat and Sonic were pretty alright. Pretty underwhelming for being the best movies of this video. I know there's probably some actually good video game movies and definitely some good video game TV shows like Last of Us or Fallout, but as of now, I truly haven't seen anything good come out of a video game movie. I think the best thing that a video game movie can do is take the world of the video game, the characters, the lore, all that, and just write a new story in that world. Obviously, if it's a story-based game like Last of Us or God of War, you could take those stories and adapt them into pretty good movies, but like Mario, don't adapt the story of Mario, fuck the story of Mario. And I'd say Mortal Kombat, Sonic, and Uncharted, they did that, and they succeeded at making something watchable to varying degrees. I think the main pitfall that these movies fall into is that it either doesn't use the source material, or it uses the source material too much. Maybe someday I'll come back and talk about some of these upcoming potentially good video game movies, and maybe I'll even watch some of the movies you guys suggest in the comments. But for now, all I can say is, why do most video game movies suck? Because they don't care about being movies. They care about being products.
Hey, welcome to the outro. Now, I know I'm not in the regular outro corner, sorry about that, but also, doing other stuff right now. Thank you for watching to this point in the video. When it comes to what I think about the video, I think it turned out pretty good. I enjoy what I did with it. I did get a little bit lazy with some parts of the editing. It just wasn't as intricate as it could have been at some points, but also, I'm doing other stuff right now. But yeah, anyways, follow my Instagram, like and subscribe for more epic content monthly, and bye.